Alright, so in today's video, I got the Platinum Trophy on Ready or Not. Ready or Not is one of the newest titles to release on the PlayStation 5. It's been out for a hot minute on PC, but this is the first time it has ever gone to consoles. And you guys have been begging me, absolutely knee-dropping, for me to make a video on this game. And yes, I did do this today because of the most liked comment on my last video. So whoever asked for this, I deeply hate you now. And you might be asking, wow, Illusion, that's quite rude, but bro, look at this trophy guide. 8 out of 10 in difficulty with 80 hours to platinum. High key, this is the hardest game I've ever platinumed on the channel. I would rather do Outlast 2 again than this game's platinum run on a new account. It's that bad. But in total, Ready or Not has 39 trophies, including the platinum trophy. It took me around 40 hours to complete, but the guide says 80 due to it being from a solo player's perspective. Now, I did play a lot solo, but I did play a lot with people as well. However, there's also a plethora of difficulty, grind, buggy, RNG, post-game, collectible, and time-limited trophies. This game really did make sure to cross off every single possible annoying trophy shoved into one experience. I think I'm gonna cry tonight. Please drop a like and subscribe. Anyways, enough of that. Let's begin the grind of Ready or Not. And for some more lore on my time today, I did begin this grind before any trophy guides were even available, so I just sort of went in blind with a little bit of advice from my friend NLP, who already platinumed the game because he's mentally insane. And he sort of said the first run does not really matter because I needed to know the game before going through any hard trophies. So I just began with stage 1 being to finish off the missions through commander mode, which is the single player mode within the game, where you control a team of SWAT officers as the commander. And before you actually do begin that, you do have to play the tutorial of the game for a few trophies and just to get a base understanding of the mechanics. And as I was going through this, I do think it bugged a few times for me not being able to interact with doors, get more ammunition, and not being able to arrest people, which is a giant issue this game has right now, and I'm honestly not sure if it's like this on PC or not. But the game right now on console is just a complete buggy mess, and it gets mentioned a lot on the trophy guide for this game that did just come out and just in general online because it makes the game a lot harder and just not as enjoyable as it should be. But I did end up getting my first trophy inside of the tutorial just from arresting a citizen called First Arrest, and here is that. The next trophy I got was then from just finishing the tutorial, as you would expect, and this pretty much just had us do the absolute basics of the game, so nothing complex at all, and here's that trophy for finishing it. Now, if you aren't aware for some reason as to what Ready or Not is, you pretty much just play as a SWAT team and you have to go through 18 different instances or levels where there is an insane crime happening, and it gets very graphic later on in the missions, so I am going to be blurring and taking out parts of this video just so it can even be on this wonderful platform called YouTube. I was also trying my best to get S rank on every map I played because a trophy called Medal of Valor requires that, and you don't have to do this solo, however, which is a giant W, and if you achieve S rank at any point on any map, it counts for that level overall. But the first level of the game has us going to a gas station to stop a bunch of people that are inside of it, taking it over essentially. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really have time to listen or understand the lore of this game due to how challenging the platinum was, but pretty much in the gas station you have to take down all these suspects and secure all these citizens, and these are the two objectives on pretty much every single level of the game. But then you also do have side objectives particular to each level most of the time. A few levels do not have anything else other than suspects and citizens, but there's also soft objectives, which are another different type, and these are not required for the completion of the level, but they are required for S rating, and they're kind of a type of hidden objective. But this first gas station level is definitely the easiest in the game by far, and getting the S rank only took me about 1 or 2 tries. Unfortunately, you don't get trophies from finishing any level by itself, but rather groups of them. And they also aren't in a row, so it really doesn't make sense as to why the developers formatted these level completion trophies the way they did, but I guess that's just how it's going to be. The next level was then called 23 megabytes a second, and this level had us storming an apartment complex after a bunch of bad dudes once more, but the main goal was to find this apartment full of streamers who had like a ton of adult content that was, you know, bad, and yeah, this game is already going down that rabbit hole of demonetization, son of a bitch. But this level was also a far bit more challenging than the previous one. I also did encounter the most annoying part of these S runs in single player. I was using the flash launcher that came with the deluxe version of the game because it's extremely overpowered, but using it's gonna hit your teammate a lot if you aren't absolutely as careful as can be, and if you get even one friendly fire splash hit, it docks 30 points from your run and voids you of the S rating. Now, this is again another reason as to why getting a team of people to play this with you is better, because friendly fire is more giving with real players. But on this level, as I was saying, I didn't get a single trophy inside of it despite spending an hour or so here from failing a lot more than the first level. Eventually I did make it through though, and the first 8 levels in this game aren't really all that bad. Levels 9 through 18, however, kind of do suck doo-doo, so that's splendid. The third level is then called Twisted Nerve, and this one is up there with the most annoying levels in the game. You and the squad are infiltrating a full-blown meth convention. Every single person in here is just high off their asses on that crystal, and due to this, they for one barely cooperate when you yell at them to get on their knees like a good girl. They also don't die as easy, are certifiably insane, and a new enemy gets introduced to us that is, I think, special to just this level, called the knife enemies. Just bitches running at you with knives. I spent one of my longest times here out of any level, and it was horrid. The level also looks disgusting because, I mean, it's just a meth house. And there's like 15 people in it doing drugs, so you know what, that's gonna do it. But I did get a few trophies here due to how long I spent jerking it. The first one I got was from lockpicking 20 doors using the lockpick gun, and I definitely did not know I had that equipped, to be honest, so that's kind of funny. I also ended up arresting over 50 people for a trophy called Arrest Warrant, and I did this so soon in the game, only on the third level because of how many times I kicked in the bucket. But only a few minutes after that, I got another trophy called Walnut Warrior from commanding the squad to breach a door 20 times because I'm too much of a pussy to do it myself. Haha, shout out taxpayer dollars. Anyways, I then spent 30 more minutes inside of deep sorrow-filled suffering. But eventually I did manage to finish the level. Twisted Nerve is officially the bane of my existence, but here's that S rating. I then did the fourth level, and I actually found this to be very easy, and I actually did it first try pretty fast. It was called The Spider, and it had us infiltrating a daycare, I think. This level, I honestly had no clue what the plot was. You could say I lost the plot. Okay, I'm done. But after I did finish with what I thought was an S rating perfect easy run, it turns out I friendly fired at one time and I didn't even see it. I called BS on that one, champ, I'm not gonna lie. It also said 0-point deduction, so now I'm just confused. This game is low-key a buggy shitfest, bro. I gotta say it again. Great game, don't get me wrong, but I've seen less bugs in indie titles made by teams of 5 people or less. Also, how are you gonna release a game to consoles and make it the showcase game on PlayStation while also being backed by Epic Games and just having insane amounts of miscare with how it performs? This game got miscarriaged, you could say. Oh yeah, and also on my second try, I did pass that level, by the way. The fifth level is then called a Lethal Obsession, and this one has the least amount of enemies on it, making it very fast, but it's also the first level with traps, and yeah, just look at my experience with these, unknowing of how to deal with them. Are you Anyways, as I said, this level is very fast and low enemy count. You do have to be very cautious though, obviously, but if you are, it's no issue, and I got S first try after doing a full run of it. The next level I did was then called Ides of March, I think, and it took place inside of another apartment building, although this time it was much more luxurious than the previous apartment level. There was also traps on this one, by the way, but I was playing very cautious because traps not only kill you, but they are loud as a bitch, and it hurt my ears the last time I died to one. Yes, I am receiving IRL harm from this game. Void Interactive, you will be getting sued. While I did play through this level, however, I got another trophy, this time called Peeping Tom. Shout out to my middle school career. And this tool is very helpful because it lets you see underneath doors, around corners, and up skirts. Anywhere you can imagine. Now, I actually managed to do this level on first go because it didn't have a super hard setup. And aside from dodging the occasional trap, there really wasn't a challenge, so I managed to get that S first go. On to the next level, I ended up doing it first try also, but it was called Sinus Trail, I think that's how you say it. And it had us going into a computer farm business place. Again, not too positive what the lore was, but it wasn't also overly challenging. And that's just due to the map being very congested with hallways. Now this sounds kind of annoying, but it's a huge help in taking down enemies since you usually just had to deal with one at a time. And the hardest maps in the game are actually the wide open ones because the AI just run at you with full auto guns and take your ass down instantly. And I would actually end up running out of launcher ammo, however, at this one's ending. And at this point, if you can't tell, I was also just doing these levels completely solo because I was fed up with friendly fire penalties. But I had to call my boys in to take down this last guy, and here's that S rating afterwards. The next level, called Ends of the Earth, is also very easy, and it just had us go into a beach house and take down like 5 or 6 people, all protecting their mother who has cancer. But the people in the house were also running an illegal gun ring to make money, so a lot of moving parts here. But I got a trophy called Arrest for the Wicked from arresting 100 people total. And a few minutes after that popped, I unfortunately ran into the most annoying bug in this game. Enemies will occasionally on certain levels get stuck sliding through a wall or crawling under one. In this case, the dude just wouldn't stop glitching in and out of the wall. But in this state, they are literally invincible and you cannot arrest them or do anything at all, so you just have to completely reset the game. And it ended up happening to me numerous times on this level in a row, so yeah, that sucks. L game with L bugs, I can't lie. I did finally do it after like an hour though of getting that bug, which was very dumb and very aggravating, but here's that S rating anyways. So at this point, I had the basics of the game down, getting somewhat good at it, and I hit up my boy NLP, who I already mentioned earlier that was giving me tips on the game, and we got a little group together with some of our friends to begin going after hard mode in this game. There's a trophy called I'm Too Old for This, which requires you to complete every single level on hard mode. Again, this does not need to be done done in single player or in one save slot of commander, and as soon as you do finish a level on hard, it just automatically counts on the trophy, and it also does track on the trophy itself, which is a W feature. But hard mode is insanely hard if you couldn't tell. It's the reason the guy is rated at an 8 out of 10 difficulty, and every level is for the most part a challenge, with the hardest levels being level 9 called Grease Palms, and the final level called Hide and Seek. Both of those two levels are f***ing bizarre with the amount of challenge that is presented to you. And before I start going through these, I just want to say one more thing. You do not need a good rating to complete them and for the trophy. You can literally get an E rating, and as long as you finish the main objectives, you're completely fine. So anyways, we just began to go through the levels again, start to finish, but on hard this time. And the first trophy I got here was called the Tactician from completing a mission without using any weapons. Also a trophy called Off Duty from using no armor or helmets on the first level. And I got both of those because NLP told me to farm them real quick while he took care of business. So here's both of those popping as he clutched up while I clutched my cheeks together. After those, however, we did just begin to go through the levels once more, and I'm not going to go re-explain each level, just highlight where we struggled. The first instance that we got stuck on was actually on Twisted Nerve, that meth head level, mostly because, as I said, this level is just crazy annoying and we got owned multiple times by knife meth heads. However, after doing it back inside of the headquarters, I also did get a trophy just from drinking 5 coffees. Not sure if that's safer than meth at this point, but here's the trophy pop from doing that. But again, we just went back in and managed to complete every level on hard up till 9 called Greased Palms. And as I said, this level is insanely hard to beat, and it's in my opinion the hardest level of the game to do on hard. We had a full team of 5 people playing, and we still got our asses kicked over and over and over for 3 hours straight of attempts. What makes it so damn hard is because the entire map is open but is closed at the same time. So even when you feel like you're safe in a room, you can almost always get cross-mapped by AI enemies. Whether they are shooting from behind, above, below, outside, or inside, you can pretty much get shot at any point and they do not miss. It's insane. I can't even explain to you all how hard this is, but if any of you have this game, then please go play this on hard and tell me how much fun you have afterwards. This level legitimately made me despise this game so much. Mad cause bad? Yes. Yes indeed. Very mad. But after 3 hours of failure, our carry, NLP, and a few other dudes had to hop off, so I just went back to the solo grind. Ending up finishing that level on standard in my single player playthrough pretty easily actually, and getting S rank since hard mode is just insanely difficulty spike. I then went to the next level called Valley of the Dolls, and this is one of the more disturbing levels of the game, and it's also pretty hard for a matter of fact, but it's about this kid's 18th birthday party and also a ton of just not good things relating to sexual acts, and yeah, we won't talk about it. But after I did finish this with an S rating, I got a trophy called the Exploited from completing a bunch of weird ass levels with a C+ rating or higher. I also went to the evidence locker after that, and I looked at a piece of evidence I gathered for another trophy called What's in the Box. Shout out to the movie 7 where that meme is from. If you haven't seen the movie, then go watch it right now. It slaps harder than my father did to me as a child.
What did he say?
The following level was then called Elephant, and it was at a community college where a school shooting was happening. Only in America those words get uttered, I swear to God. But this map is, in my opinion, the most annoying overall with the objectives it has. There was only 4 suspects on standard difficulty, but you have to find all 4 of them within a few minutes of each other, or else they start off as students and you fail the level. But aside from that, you also do have to defuse these 2 bombs that are placed completely randomly around the college. And this college isn't small, damn it. So you honestly do have to get some RNG with the placements of everything to succeed, and yeah, it pretty much just sucks. I did get super lucky at one point though, and I defused both of the bombs within 2 minutes of each other, and I got that trophy. But aside from that redeeming trophy, it's pretty much just a horrible f***ing level, and I despise it with my whole heart. The next level was then called Rust Belt, and this level is sort of challenging, but it's more just scary actually, because 90% of the gameplay just has us walking down dark tunnels in a cave, getting jump scared by enemies popping out to kill us. But after I did get S tier and finished the level, I got another trophy called the War, and here's that. The level after that was then called Sins of the Father, and I found this so easy I'm not even going to mention it, because the level after it, called Neon Tomb, is another one of the hardest levels in the game. A shooting at a nightclub is happening, and the club has naked women everywhere, but also terrorists. The best of both worlds if you're a deranged individual. However, what makes it so f***ing hard is because there is 3 floors to the place, and enemies are scattered on all of them. And if you even try to go through the middle of the map, you're just gonna die. There's no question about it. I struggled for hours on solo, and it pissed me off greatly, to the point where I think I transcended annoyance, and somehow things got worse than they already were. Remember, kids, if anybody ever says, well, it can't get worse, it can always get worse. But when I did finally win, oh, it felt so good. The next map I did was then called Buy Cheap, Buy Twice, and this one's a bit tricky, but I did it pretty easily on my solo run, and it just took place at a super messed up car dealership where they apparently kill you both on prices, but also for real. Anyways, after that I reached the most scary map in my opinion, or at least the most disturbing with the enemies on it, but it's called Carriers of the Vine, and it just has a bunch of women around it, which is why it's scary. No, but seriously, the lore for this map, someone actually told me as I played it later with the boys again, and yeah, no comment on that. We don't need that being said. If you're curious, I suggest you Google it. However, it's again a very hard map due to it being quite open, large, and having many areas inside of it you need to get through with enemies being shoved in basically all of them. I developed a pretty good strat of clearing everything outside before going into the main house, because the outside can can be annoying when you're in the house and vice versa. But after I did finish it with that S rating, I got another level trophy called the Left Behind, and here it is popping. So I was in onto the final 2 levels of the game, being called Relapse, taking place in a hospital, and Hide and Seek, which takes place in a shipping yard. And both of these are very hard, but after you do finish Relapse a few times, it actually becomes quite easy. And the same goes for Hide and Seek. But I was struggling at first, so I hit up my boy NLP, who got back on at this point, and a few others to grind out these final S rating trophies. And while we were doing this, I also did defuse the bomb on Relapse within 2 minutes of each other, which is another trophy, just like it was on Elephant, so here's the trophy popping. And once we did finish that Relapse map with the S rating together, the trophy called Decaying City popped, and that's almost our final level trophy of the game. So we then went to Hide and Seek, which is the final level, and I'm not gonna lie, this map on hard is insane, as I said, but on standard, it's really not that bad. The level itself, though, has insanely disgusting lore about human trafficking, and yeah, it's just not it. I see now why this game got censored heavily from the PC version. The console kids would get beat up so hard if mom walked in on you playing this on the family TV. That's for sure. But we ended up getting S rank very fast here, and I finally got the trophy Medal of Valor, which I have been going after for like 2 days of playing at this point. Also getting the trophy called the Abducted from finishing that final level, and some others relating to it. So me and the squad then went through some levels going for the trophies, because this game does have quite a few level specific trophies requiring gear setups. For example, the first one we did was actually that last level again, but just from using a taser, flashbangs, and bash only. Pretty hard to do this solo, but with my team, I just kind of sat there with my wiener in hand, spectating as they all got criminal charges from secondhand actions, and here's the trophy once it finished. I then just did the same thing with the Rust Belt level, only using the Magnum, and then on the Meth Head level from only using the VLP, CS Gas, and Gas Mask. Again, here's a trophy after the boys carried me essentially. I then did one more easy trophy before we locked in for hard mode again, and it was called The Fool. And this is gotten by getting killed by a civilian, which is best done in the level called Valley of Dolls, and letting this big titty bitch slap us with her honkers until we die from a lust. So here's that trophy pop. But the next trophy I got was called I'm Too Old for This, and it's the hard every level trophy like I've been mentioning. So we had to return back to that damn greased palm level, and it pretty much went the same as it has been going with us failing over and over. The best strat we did come up with, however, was to use the riot shield, and if anybody had the flash launcher like I do, we made sure to utilize those. But with this shield, it helped to not get shot from behind and also in front, but I found that the shield really shined when crossing in front of enemy fire to get to stairs or just buildings that we previously got wrecked trying to do. And with all those tools and strats we had, it was still insane as you would expect, but we ultimately had that one run where it just finally worked. And my boy Asukini, shout out to bro, managed to clutch up on the final dude and kill him with literally everyone else dead just watching. Then he ran around and finished the objectives we had, and we ended off the round finally beating it. A bad rating? Yes, but a win regardless. So for the rest of these hard levels, most of them did take us quite a few tries, but none of them were as bad as that greased palm level, until we reached the final hard level of the game, Hide and Seek. This level took us 2+ hours to complete, and I know that's way less than it took for greased palms, but we would typically all die within like 2 or 3 minutes since enemies are just flooded on this level. And what makes this so damn hard is because it's basically an open map the entire time, meaning if you don't have your sights covered, you're just gonna get dropped. But I don't want to bore you all with me complaining about how much we got anally assaulted, so I'm just gonna jump to it. I can't wait anymore. Our entire team, essentially besides a few dudes, ended up getting off, so I had some viewers help from my Discord. Once more, join the Discord, please. It's a great place with lots of fun. But one of these lads that joined was named Boniest Corpse, and bro is the GOAT. It's official. On the run we made it through the final level on hard, he essentially clutched up and killed legitimately more than half of the enemies after we were all dead, ending up in a 1v2 on the final people, and somehow, someway, managed to do it. And then finished the level off right after with that trophy popping. I think I'm in love, I can't lie. Again, huge shout out and thanks to him for the clutch, but also to everybody that played with me in the process of getting this done. A lot of returning names on the channel, and I appreciate it greatly. So with that hard mode trophy done, I then had to go unfortunately do another full playthrough of the game on Iron Man mode. This is the station itself on the trophy guide, but in all honesty, it's not that hard to complete. The only difference from normal standard difficulty is that it's a permadeath mode, so if you die, your save gets deleted, but if you back it up in either a cloud save or just exit the game as soon as possible when you do die or an officer dies, you should have no problem. And while I was playing through this, I did get a few trophies, first from disarming 10 tripwires, then from commanding a door breach 50 times with my squad, and then I actually did beat Iron Man mode without really any issues, getting the trophy from that obviously, but also one from unlocking all of the game's customization items, and the second Iron Man mode trophy as well for not losing any officers during my playthrough. So I was then onto the cleanup stage of the game, which is pretty straightforward, although it's still a bit of an annoyance to complete. The first trophy I got was called the Devil, and this is easily done by just shooting at your team until they all turn on you, and then you just command them to kill you, so that's that. I then completed the first mission of the game without doing anything but commands. Very simple actually, and here's that trophy as well. But then I did begin to grind after my last grind trophy called the Emperor from having unlocked every unique officer trait. A trait is just a perk an officer gets after completing a few missions, and I honestly didn't really pay attention to these like I probably should have as I played, because I was too caught up in not dying and my own eternal glory. But you can farm all of these out by just replaying the first level over and over, since it's very easy and only takes like 4 minutes to do. And every time you do finish the level, you also do make progress on the officers as if we were playing normally. And while I was grinding out rounds, I also did get a few trophies. First from breaching 20 locked doors with the battering ram, which is actually a very fun and funny tool. Then from having 2 officers with an active kick trait and kicking down a door by myself. And I would then actually unlock the Emperor trophy only a few minutes after that, because I already had a few unlocked from my previous runs I had in the game at this point. I then got this trophy from using this stun tool 30 times on enemies, and you can farm it in a room on the second level very easy, so here's that trophy. I then linked up once more with NLP to finish up this game's remaining trophies. Going after these 2 in particular that are kind of the same, but they are both gotten from using C2 on a door and having it explode and knock an enemy incapacitated from that. It's kind of weird to get it to work, but I did get the trophy from doing it on like my 3rd or 4th try. However, you also need to be lucky after you do this, and the enemy won't actually be dead, and that's another trophy from tying him up called Magician after thinking he's dead, but he's not. It didn't work for me on the same dude I got the other trophy on, but I just tried it again in a new match and it did, so yeah, no real clue why that works the way it does. It's very odd, just like this game. But my final trophy was then a collectible actually, and it was from going to that lethal obsession level and finding these phone recordings around the place, and then you just play them all, and that's what the trophy is for. So once I did find them and play them, it popped, and so did the Ready or Not Platinum trophy. It's safe to say that I was not ready for this. The sheer amount of times me and my friends said, and I quote this, "How? Where is he? Who the f just shot me? Don't kill the civilians. This game is dog shit." Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I was not ready for this challenge the game posed. 8 out of 10 of difficulty is just nuts, man. And I am so happy I managed to do this. Also, again, to the person who commented that I should do this game, I hope you're happy, motherfucker.